Hello friends, welcome back. I hope all of you are doing great. Today is a second session of our journey of Salesforce Admin, and we will discuss in details about Salesforce object, fields, all the fields data types, relationships. We will also touch base on Schema Builder. Towards the end of this session, we will also model the data in Salesforce by creating custom objects, fields of different data type, and relationships. Let's start without wasting any time. Whenever we talk about any software, the first thing that comes into our mind is how our data is being stored in that particular software. When we talk about Salesforce, in Salesforce, data is stored in much similar ways as in Excel sheet. So if you are familiar with Excel, you might know that we store data in tabs in Excel sheet, and then we have rows and the columns. Each of the column have their own data type, which depends on the kind of data that we are going to store in that particular column. Similarly, in Salesforce, data is stored in objects, and each object has number of rows, which we call records, and the columns, which we call as fields in Salesforce. Each field have its own data type that we will discuss in coming slides. So what is objects? Object is nothing but it's simply data table, or you can say database tables that stores the data specific to your organizations. There are two types of objects in Salesforce: standard objects and custom objects. Standard objects are the objects which are inbuilt in Salesforce platform. You can also say these comes out of box with the Salesforce when we buy any Salesforce license. Then these are already there. Some of the main standard objects are account, contact, opportunity, lead, case, campaign. When we talk about custom objects are the objects that are created by user as per your business requirements or business process. Custom object's name could be anything. It depends on you. When you create the custom object, that time you give the custom object name. Let's talk about some of the differences in custom object and standard object. So as we know, standard objects are out of box objects, whereas custom objects are created by the user. API name for standard objects does not ends with _c, whereas custom objects have their API name that ends with _c. We have limited customization in standard objects. That means you cannot edit standard object, you cannot delete standard object, and you cannot change the label of a standard object. But you can create custom fields in standard object as per your requirement. Custom objects are fully customizable. It means you can create the custom object, you can edit the custom object, you can delete, you can change the name at any point of time, and also you can create fields in custom objects. Some of the popular or main standard objects are account, contact, user, and custom object name could be anything. It depends on your requirement or your business process. Let's see these in actual Salesforce environment. So if you are new and you do not have your Trailblazer account created and do not have access to hands-on organization for practice, then you can refer our video non-IT to Salesforce career transition. You can find the link in description. You can learn how to create your first Trailblazer account and how to create hands-on or for practice. So I already have some of the created. Let's launch one of them. So this is the UI that you see. Let's go to Object Manager. So how you would go to Object Manager? You will go on Setup, click on Setup, and then it will take you to this window. Here you click on Object Manager and you can see these many objects. So these objects are standard object, and you can see their API names does not end with _c. Let's scroll down and see for some custom object. You can see this project is a custom object, and you can see the API name ends with _c. And you can also see the drop down. You can edit this object, you can delete this object, and you can create fields inside it. Whereas you do not see any drop down in front of a standard object because you have limited customization for a standard object. You cannot delete them, edit them. But you can go inside that object and you can create fields from here that we will learn in our upcoming slides. When we talk about objects, the main component of objects are records that we talked about, and fields, page layout, validation rules, relationships, and workflow and triggers. Fields are columns in a table. So if we talk about the actual, if you go to account object and you see these are the records and these are the columns. So records are the items, these are accounts records, whereas fields you can think like columns, and each column have their own data type. Page layout, page layout is, you can see the record UI. You can say it is a record UI which decides how we can arrange the fields, where each field should be. So if we talk in real-time UI, so this is a record, and in details you can see these are the fields. So how these fields should be arranged, whether they should be in two columns or one column, what should be their position, this is decided by your page layout. And how we access the page layout, we go to setup, then in this window we go to that particular object from object manager, and you can see the page layout, and then you can click on the layout that you are using, and in that particular layout you can position these fields wherever you want to place and save it. So this is one of the component of object. Then validation rule. Validation rules, they ensure that data is valid, data format is valid, and you can use validation rule to pop up error whenever the data is not valid. So it won't allow user to save the data unless they correct the data. Relationships, as you know, the data tables are linked to each other by primary key or the foreign key, and by establishing the relationship between two tables, we are able to see the connected records from the other objects on the page of the primary objects. Then there are workflows and triggers. These are used for automation purpose. If you want to send automatic emails, if you want to update some fields automatically, then that time you use workflow and triggers. Let's talk about fields in details. As we know, fields are more like columns in which we store our data. So field data type depends on the type of data that we want to store. We can store emails, we can store numbers, we can store text. So data depends on, the data type depends on what kind of data we are going to store. So in custom objects, there are four standard fields that are automatically created whenever we create a custom field. These fields are owner, modified by, created by, and that particular field's name. We will see all these fields when we will create custom object in upcoming slides. You cannot delete a standard field or edit those fields. Custom fields are so as object we also have standard fields and custom fields. Standard fields again are out of box functionality. Those are already present in the Salesforce platform, whereas custom field are created by the user as per their business requirement. So each field have their field data type. So these are the main data types that you can see. Most of them are self-explanatory. You can understand by looking at the name. Like you can see auto number is the number fields, then checkbox gives you the option with yes or no. Currency is basically used if you create some amount field, then you select the currency. Then date gives you date, and date and time gives you date plus time, like 11th of September at 3 p.m. If you want to enter the email, then you take email data type. So most of these are self-explanatory. Phone for phone. Pick list, if you pick list will allow you to select one value at a time, whereas multi-pick list will let you select more than one value at a time. So you can create as per your requirement. Then text, you can see there are four fields. These are interesting. So text, as we know, is a combination of letters and numbers, and text area allow you up to 255 characters in separate lines. You can see the difference. And the text area long again give you you can enter more characters when you use long. And enrich, when you want to format your text, you want bold, italic, or underlined text, or you want to insert some image, that time you use text area rich. This allows you to format your characteristics and also insert some links and images. URL is used to enter, like you are going to create a website field, then that time you can select data type as URL, so that once it is created, you can click on that URL and it will take you directly to that particular website. Formula field is read-only field. You can create a formula of division, multiplication, or anything as per your requirement. That field will be automatically populated as per the formula that you entered and will be read-only. Then there are relationships fields, lookup relationship, master detail relationship, roll up summary. We will discuss this in next slide. Text encrypted. So in case you want to encrypt your data, that time you use text encrypted, and you can control its visibility or its access by controlling the access for the users. So for example, if you want to store credit card numbers or any secret data, that time you must use encrypted text data type. Let's little bit talk about roll up summary fields. So roll up summary field display sum, maximum, minimum, or count of records. Uh, so say for example, if two tables are related to each other, then you can count number of records on one table by creating the field on other table. So we will create roll up summary field in when we will be modeling data towards the end of this session. So these are available only for master detail relationship. You should remember this point, because sometimes it is asked in your exam. So if you have a master detail relationship, that time only you can use roll up summary field, else it will be disabled for you. And once you use roll up summary field on master detail relationship, then you cannot convert it to lookup relationship, because roll up summary field is only applicable for master detail relationships. Let's talk about relationships. Relationships is nothing but it's linking two data table to each other, so that we can pull out the information of one table onto the other table by relating them. So in our relational database, we link two tables by using primary key or foreign key. Similarly, in Salesforce, we link two tables to object, here you can say, and their records by creating relationship fields. In Salesforce, there are mainly two relationships: master detail relationships and lookup relationship. So master detail relationship, as the name suggests, one of the object act as master and other object act as detail. And master field controls certain behavior of detail object. So master detail, as you can see, is a parent-child relationship. So these two objects, master and detail, in master detail are not stand-alone. They are dependent on each other, and master control most of behavior of detail object. In lookup, both the objects are standalone. They are just linked to each other. When a parent is deleted from master detail relationship, the detail object or the records of all the detail object will also be deleted. Whereas in lookup, when any of the one is deleted, there will be no effect on other object records. Parent can have roll-up summary fields as we discussed, but in lookup, roll-up summary field does not work. Detail records must have master record reference. That means there should be a field that is created using master detail records on the page layout of detail records. So in lookup fields, there is no requirement. The related field appear in the related list on the record. Detail object does not have its own sharing or security setting. It inherits all these settings from the master records. Whereas in lookup, both the records have their own sharing and security settings. So there can only be two master detail fields on one object, whereas limit for the lookup fields is 25. So there are two more lookup relationships. These are hierarchical and self. So hierarchical relationship is a specific relationship, and it is available only for user object. So you can create a custom relationship field where you can store users direct manager or users direct reportee, but this field is only applicable to the user object. It cannot be created for other object. So if your requirement is something like storing direct reportee for some user, then you can use this relationship. Then you can also use self relationship. This is also a type of lookup relationship where a object can refer to itself. Then there is one more type of relationship, many to many, where one record of an object can be related to many records from the other object and vice versa. So when we model many to many relationship, we need to create a custom junction object, because in this case, in many to many relation, we have two master records. So to model two master record, we cannot directly create master detail relationship between those two objects. In such case, we need to create a custom junction object, and then we need to create two master detail relations in that custom object, in that custom junction object. So we will see this in our next slide when we will model our data. So now we have discussed in detail what the objects are, what are the fields and field data type, also about the relationship, a master detail and lookup. Now let's model this data in Salesforce. So to model this data, let me try side by side so that we can comfortably create this data in Salesforce. So let's see this. So here we have a company object, job openings, applications, and contacts. So in this example, micro business is a company which want to track all their job applications for their job openings. So we need to model this scenario into Salesforce. So here we have company and we have job openings. So one company can have many job openings. So here the relationship between these should be one to many, and we will create master detail relationship between these two objects. Now job openings and contacts. So one contact can apply many applications for many jobs. So we can simply say one contact can apply for many jobs as per his qualifications. And also one job can have many applications, or many candidate can apply for one job. So here you can see this is many to many options, because many contact can apply for single job and single job can have many applications from many contacts. So relationship between job openings and contact is many to many. So this relationship, as we discussed, will be modeled by using a custom junction object, which is application, and we will create two master fields in this object to model these two master objects. So let's create this scenario in the actual Salesforce environment. So our first thing will be to create these custom objects, all the 4 custom objects. So I'm in Salesforce UI, and for that we'll go to Object Manager, and in Object Manager, going on create, we will create the custom objects. So let's create company. So you need to give a label, then you need to give plural for this company, and object name will be company, and then company name should be in text. So this is the field company name that will be automatically created, and type will be text. Then let's leave all other settings as default. So here you should ensure that it is in deployed, that way you will be able to see this in Salesforce. And also at the bottom you can see there is a tab wizard, custom tab wizard. So if you select this option, then a tab will be automatically created, or you can also create that later on. So I will select it here because I want to create this tab. So I'll select this option and I'll say save. So next it will ask you to select the tab picture for the tab. So for companies, let me go with buildings. Looks good for company. I selected buildings. And next is your tab visibility. You want everyone to see this tab. So for now, I will keep the same settings for it. So let me go with the default settings, and we have created the object company. And if you remember, we selected tab at the bottom, and we have also given an icon for the tab, so you can see the company is visible here. If you do not select that tab option while creating the object, then you won't be able to see it here. You need to create that later on. So let's go ahead and create the other object, which is job opening. So you can give the same plural, leave other settings as default, and I want to create the tab for this one as well because I want to see all of them. Job openings, let me go with the books. Next, leave the tab settings as default and visibility settings as default. Save. So my second object is created. Then let's create applications. Say application, it should be application number, not the name. So I'll go with number and then auto number. So if you remember, this was the auto number field because here I want the number. So I can say JA job application, and I want to keep it up to 3 digits only. So 3 zeros, then I'll leave other settings default, and I want to create tab. Review the error message. Okay, you must enter a value. So my starting number should be 001. Then save. I'll select a tab for this. At this time, anything would be okay. Then I'll leave the tab visibility settings as default and the access to all the profiles. So my third object is created, and fourth is contact, which is already a standard object. So we are good with that. The next thing will be we need to create the fields. So let's start with the company. So we have already created company. In company, we need to go to field and relationships, and you can see we were talking about the standard fields. So these fields are already created and are standard field. Last modify, created, owner. So let's go ahead and create. So name is already created. Next we will create description. So description should be text type, but I'll go with text long because description could be pretty lengthy as well. So you can write more description if you want. Let's go ahead and leave the visibility settings default for now. Save and new. So my next is address. So there is field address type. If you do not see this address type field, you can refer one of my video how to add custom address field. You can find the link in description for that. So here I'll say company address. Go ahead, leave the settings default, save and new. Next is website. So we did talk about URL types, data types. So you can select URL and you can say website. Go ahead, leave the settings default, save and new. Then you can select font type, data type. You can create as many fields as you want as per your requirement. Hit the settings default, save and new. And last type will be ownership type. I want to keep it government or private ownership type. So for this I will select big list. And I will enter the values by myself. So government and private. I'm restricting these values so that nobody else can change these values. Save. So my all fields are created for company. Now let's go ahead and create fields for job opening. So we will go into job opening, new fields, create. So name is already created, as you can see, while when we created our object, that time this name is created. So let's go ahead and create the company. So as we discussed, this is one-to-many relations and we need to create master detail type. So for company, we will select master detail. Next. And related to, we'll select company. Then next. I will keep the child relationship name as companies. Leave everything else default. Then yes. Save and create new. So next is role overview. That should be text and it should be long text because overview could be quite lengthy. You can always write the help text that help to understand why this object was created or field was created. So the next is location. Again, we will go with the address field and we will call it job location. Keep the other thing default. Then job requirement. Again, in job requirement, we will use rich text because there we might need to format some of the text. We might need to make some of the text bold or italic. So I'm keeping it long text rich. Job requirements. Keep it default and save. Estimated salary, you can create that field as well and you can use currency field for that because that is the amount that we will be entering in here. So and you can keep the decimal number 0 or you can give it 2. Save. So we have created all the fields for our job openings. Now let's come to application, and you do remember that application is here a custom junction object that links to master objects. Let's go to application. From here, and in application we already have application number created. Then we can go ahead and create contact as a master detail relationship. So I've already created contact and job openings, contact and job as a master detail relationship. And then estimated joining date, this should be a date field where you can do. So a single object can have only 2 master detail relationships. So I have created both of these. So first is contact and with job openings, and I'll go ahead and create one more checkbox field that is open to relocation. Relocation. Go ahead. I'll keep everything else default and save. So we have created all our 4 objects: company, job openings, application, and contact is already there. Now I will like to create an app so that I can store all of these in a single app. So to do that, let me enlarge it. Let's go to the app manager. In there, let's go to the new Lightning app, and here I can give a name, job applications. You can also upload the picture here for your application. Let's go next. Let's keep this default. I want a standard navigation and I want it for desktop and phone both. We do not want to add any utility. We would like to add all the tabs that we have created. So we created company. Then we created job openings. Then we have applications. Then we have contact. Select it, bring this side. Then we have contacts. Then for now, I just want it for system admin profile. That's my profile. Then save and finish. So we have created our application. Let's go and search for our application. So our application is job application. So this is our application and it has all the company, job openings, applications, and contacts. So from here you can create records. So we have one micro business company created. We can create test app. We can give it a company, say United, maybe we can take United States, and then we can take, say, Alaska. Can save. So that's how we can create the company records. So we have 2 records now. We can create job openings. So we have already created 2 job openings for micro business. You can see the micro business 2 job openings. Similarly, we can create Salesforce Admin for test app company. We can give the address later. So we have 3 openings here. Now we can create application data by going to new and contact. Let me see the contacts we have. Evergreen. Let's go with the Evergreen. So Evergreen want to apply for developer. So we have these many openings. So if we go to application, so application is our detail record and job opening is our master record. If we go to Salesforce developer, we can see all the related openings. It has, the applications. It has 3 applications. Similarly, we can go to the admin, can check for the applications. It does not have any application. It has 1 application. Similarly, in company, you can see on micro businesses, it has 2 openings. And if you want to check in here, it has 1 openings. So this is how you can model the data in Salesforce. After this, so for now, we have modeled all this data. Schema Builder, what we have done till now, we have created custom objects, we have created custom fields, we have created relationships between those data table. The same thing we can do in Schema Builder. It's just the pictorial representation. You can see how you are doing, how you are creating the fields, the relationships. You can see all this in a single screen. In a single screen, you can create the custom objects and fields and relationships between them without switching any page or any site. So this Schema Builder enables us to create custom object, lookup relationships, and master detail relationships. So let's go in real-time UI and let's see where this Schema Builder is and how we can create the fields. So for that, we need to go to setup, then need to go to object manager. In object manager, we have Schema Builder. So you can see, since let's clear all other objects and select what objects we have. So we have created company, then we have job openings, we have application, and we have contact. So you can see these are the 4 custom fields that we created and relationships between them. So you can see if you hover on these lines, you can see the kind of relationships. These are master detail relationship. This is master detail relationship between application and job opening. And if you hover over this, you can see this is lookup relationship here. So you can see all the relationships, all the objects that we created in a single screen. So we are on objects. If you go to elements and you want to create one more object here, you just need to drag the object and fill all the details. So let's create a test object and save it. Let's give plural. Okay, so that is already there. Let's give test 1 2 3 and that's test 1 2 3. So you can see this object is created. Now if you want to create the fields within this, you need to drag that particular field to the object and you can say and date. And you can say and date is created. So that's how you can create custom object, custom fields, and you can also create the relationship on that particular object. All the things in the same screen. You need not to switch any screen or need not to jump anywhere on other tabs. You can do all of it in a single place. This is called Schema Builder. You can make use of this. So Both the process are same. It's just whichever you like, you can follow that. So let's close this out. So this was a schema builder. You can use it. So by this slide, I have covered almost all of the content for today's session. So this is our last slide, which is a practice example for you. You can practice it by yourself. So here we have a DA house reality, which want to track all of the offer made to buy a property. So you have to model this data in Salesforce. So you need to create the objects, fields for those objects, and also the relationship. You can also create a custom applications and can store all these two objects within that application. And you can try creating records for each of the tab. Here are some steps that will help you to model the data in Salesforce. Thank you. See you in next session.